Hello, I'm the Guitar Geek. I am back, and so is the Fender Squier Bullet Mustang. It looks different, it feels different, and it sounds a little different. I'm going to get right down to playing it, but before I do, I just want to tell you that I'm using the same pedals with the same settings on those pedals, the same amp, the same microphone, the same audio interface, the same guitar cable, the same pick. The only thing that's different, controllably different, is the Mustang itself and the mods that I've made. So, without further ado, here are some sound samples. So the Mustang is a shorter scale instrument compared to guitars like the Strat, and I thought I'd show you by holding them very gingerly how much shorter it is. So that's bridge to bridge at the back, and that's how much shorter it is. It's got to be a good, it's almost a fret. It doesn't really show, it's not very scientific this, but it's almost a fret difference, which is really hard to show with this camera angle. There. The Mustang has a more of a meaty sound, a thicker, I don't know, the Strat being more jangly because the strings are longer. So what I thought I'd do is I'd play the same song on the Strat as I do on the Mustang. So here it is. received so many questions about this guitar that I'm going to take some time in this video to answer them. The most asked question I received was, I'm thinking of buying a Bullet Mustang, do I need to change the pickups? And the short answer is no, you don't. The slightly longer answer is no, you don't, but it depends on what you want to do with it. If you're buying a Mustang to play Nirvana with, then stick it on the bridge pickup, throw it through a Boss DS1, and you have got an amazing thrashy Nirvana tone. It is so, I don't want to say nasty, but so nasally and thin and but with the Boss DS1 sounds great at the same time for Nirvana that I don't want to upgrade it. It's not necessary. However, if you're playing Nirvana, then you switch it over to the neck pickup, it's rubbish. It's terrible. It's so muddy and dirty in a bad way and so unclear. So really, if you're going to go for dirt, keep it on the bridge pickup. Vice versa, if you're going for clean, the bridge pickup sounds too thin and a bit too brittle. However, stick it on the neck pickup and suddenly the guitar becomes this warm, organic, wooden piece of goodness. And I love it. I think on the heart-shaped box sample on this video, that's just this guitar going through the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe. And I think it sounds great. It sounds a lot more expensive than it really is. For me, the biggest surprise about the pickups was actually the middle position. I never used the middle position on a guitar with two humbuckers. I just don't have a use for it. But when you combine this thin, nasally, nasty, thrashy bridge pickup with this warm, muddy, unclear neck pickup, you get this in the middle combination of both. So it's gone from harsh and nasty and muddy and bleh to something clear and bell-like in the middle. And I love it. It's just so usable and makes the guitar really, really versatile. It took a lot of restraint for me not to change the pickups in this, because I normally do change pickups when I mod guitars. However, I stuck to a rule that I was not going to change these. I was going to force myself to get a good sound. And I've had so much fun doing it. And maybe you'll find something different for yourself. But in my opinion, keep the stock pickups and see how far you can push them. But make sure you select the right one for whatever style you're doing. The second most asked question I received about the guitar was, how much does it weigh? And it is quite light. It weighs in at 5.5 pounds, which is about 2.5 kilos. And the difference between this and a Strat is about £1, which is about the same as 3 medium-sized bananas. The difference between this and a Les Paul is about 9 medium-sized bananas, because a Les Paul can be about 9–10 pounds, which in fact is almost double the weight of this guitar. Surprising. Yeah, so it's not very heavy at all, is the answer to that question. The third most asked question about the guitar is, why didn't you tune it before you recorded in the first video? And the answer to this is that I did tune it. Promise. Pinky promise. However, the intonation was so badly out that as soon as I fretted a note, the note was out of tune, because the bridge was completely out of whack. So, yeah, you need to sort that bridge out if you buy one of these. I really like the middle position on this. It's quite spanky and a nice mix between too dirty and too muddy and quite bright and quite thrashy. So both together gives this nice mix, and the guitar actually sounds really, really full and quite organic. I've rolled off the volume and the tone and I'm running it through a Digitech Bad Monkey and it sounds like this. You may have noticed that I made a few changes to the guitar, and it's not exactly as it comes from Squier. There's a whole series of videos on my channel detailing what I did and all the changes I made and how I did them. But I thought I'd do a quick summary in this video so you know what's different between my guitar in this video and the guitar you'll get out of the box. So let's start at the headstock. New tuners. These are black and these are locking tuners. The original tuners are fine and they're perfectly acceptable for a guitar of this price range. However, I had these lying around and I quite like the black tuner and black body look. So I think it completes the look a little bit more. So that's the change I made. I also changed the string trees to roller string trees. They're also black. I really don't like those vintage claspy ones. I think that they're, I don't know if it's in my head, but they look really sharp and I'm worried that when the string is running through them that they might snap off and fly away. The nut. The original nut was plastic and very badly cut, again expected on the guitar of this price range. There's a bone nut in there, a little bit over the top, but I had one lying around, so rather than fiddle with the original nut and get something good out of it, I stuck this bone nut in there. The frets out of the box were extremely scratchy, and up here they're a little bit too flat. I haven't done any leveling or any sort of detailed fretwork. All I did was polish them, and that's already made the guitar a lot easier and a lot more pleasurable to play. Which takes me on to the neck. The neck was rather sticky and a bit dusty from the sawdust, and in here still was quite rough. So what I've done is I've sanded it and then I've oiled it. And again, there's a video detailing how I did that and what exactly I did. But basically, sandpaper, patience, and true oil. That's it. Onto the body. The pickup selector was at this direction angle. It's now at a 45-degree angle. So it goes down in that direction and up that way, rather than left and right. Because I like to be able to switch like that. Next to the selector switch is the kill switch. And I installed this, and what it does is when you press it in, it cuts all signal coming from the guitar. So if you turn it on, and you can do some stutter effects with this. And it's really unnecessary mod for this guitar, but I thought that I'd be using this guitar for making a lot of noise, and when you're running some high gain and some grungy sounds, I always like to do some kill switching. I've also put a new tone capacitor in the guitar. There was one of those green small caps in there originally. Now it's got a bigger orange drop. And I have no idea if it's actually made any difference in tone or sound, or if it's any better, but I do know that I like the sound now, and that's all that matters. So what else have I done? I've shielded the guitar inside. The cavity of the guitar is completely shielded with conductive copper tape. And if you want to know what that is, there's a video on the channel detailing what it is and why I've done it. It's more important with single coil guitars, and it helps cut the noise down. But with humbuckers, you don't really need it as much. But again, if I'm doing a mod setup, I'm going to do a thorough job. That's almost all the mods that I did to the guitar. And if you're thinking of buying a Bullet Mustang, you may also be thinking that the mods that I've done is just so much work you don't want to do it. So I think there are 3 mods you need to do to turn this guitar from a beginner's guitar to something that's actually playable. I think you need to change the nut, or at least file the nut correctly and lubricate it. I think you also need to polish those frets, because the scratchy frets really don't make for a nice playing experience, and it's such an easy thing to do. Just get it done. However, neither of these 2 things are as important as the final modification that I did to this guitar. Squier are naughty, naughty, naughty people. They should not be sending this guitar out with this sort of style bridge on it in the state that it came. What do I mean? I mean that In the stock state, this bridge, it was impossible to intonate the guitar without damaging the guitar. On the E string and the G string, I had to pull the saddle so far back that the screw going through the saddle was actually touching the string, and so much so that on the G string it was causing such a horrible sound and tone, and when I looked it actually sort of nicked the string a little bit, so I expect this string to break fairly soon. What I had to do was take the E and G screws out and cut about 3 or 4 millimeters off the screws, so that when I put them back in and got the saddle far back enough, the screw wasn't touching the string. So what Squier have done, they've made a guitar that you cannot intonate. It's an easy fix, but I just think that it's unfair for the people that are not into modifying guitars, or at least teching. So if you take one thing away from this video, it's that. Get your saddles seen to and you'll have a much more playable guitar. The guitar wasn't even slightly in tune in the first video for the intonation, but now it's perfectly set. I may change the saddles at some point, but I haven't done it yet because I wanted to see how far I could take these. Finally, the guitar is intonated. In the first video, it was so poorly intonated out of the box that every chord I played sounded out of tune. I promised you that the open strings were in tune, however, as soon as I fretted something, it was so far off that it sounded out of tune and sounded pretty nasty. So I apologise for that, but that was an out-of-the-box review and I didn't want to make any changes to it whatsoever before you heard it in that first video. In this video, I've done everything I possibly can to make this from a beginner's guitar into a playable guitar for live or studio stuff. I still love it. I still think it's the most fun I've had playing a guitar since as long as I can remember, and I'm not going to get rid of it because I love it too much. However, after the changes, I'm very happy. I'm not entirely happy with Squier for releasing it in the state that it is, but for the money that you spend on it, you're going to get a few problems with it. If you're watching this video because you're considering buying a Mustang, my final word on it is that it's almost a no-brainer. At the price point that Squier have put this, it's so affordable. And even with the problems with the nuts and the frets and the bridge, you can get it fixed easily, or you can do it yourself. And on my channel there's some videos that shows you how to do that. Yes, go and buy it. It's good. And if you're not sure, then watch the video again and listen to the sound samples and watch how beautiful it is, and then go and buy one. So, thank you for watching. I am the Guitar Geek. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment telling me what you want to see in the future. Maybe even subscribe to the channel. I've got some pedal demos coming soon and some comparison videos with other guitars and some more modding stuff. So please visit one of these videos that's now floating around your screen. Click down here to get the subscribe button. It's the Guitar Geek logo. And I will see you in a video in the future. Bye-bye.